Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into some, well, pretty profound source material today. Really philosophical.
It is, yeah. It challenges that whole historical narrative of human progress, doesn't it?
Completely. I mean, for most of history, evolution was something you could almost, like, see. Opposable thumbs, walking upright, bigger skulls.
Tangible stuff.
Mm,
Measurable.
mm,
Physical. External.
exactly. So our mission today is this deep dive into the idea that maybe this whole process hasn't actually stopped.
Right. It's just shifted, changed its form.
Moved
Yeah.
inward, entirely inward.
That's the core argument. What's really fascinating is how the sources redefine the endpoint, or maybe the next point.
How so?
Well, it's just the next frontier isn't really biological anymore. We're not sprouting wings or anything.
Probably not.
And it's not just about getting smarter, like pure intellectual speed either. It's moving beyond the body, even beyond that kind of logic-driven mind we value so much.
So where does it settle?
Right, in consciousness itself. That's the new territory.
Okay, that sets up a paradox right away, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Something we need to explore for you, the listener.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources are saying the next step isn't about thinking faster. We've got machines for that now.
We definitely do.
It's about feeling clearer. That's the phrase they use. Feeling clearer.
Which immediately makes you ask, well, what does that mean? If computers handle the speed and evolution keeps going,
Yeah.
where's the focus?
Right.
And the text argues it's not processing speed, it's perception, a clearer perception. It actually asks us to evolve beyond just logic, or at least a narrow view of it.
Okay, let's define that transition then, because the sources insist evolution never ends. It just shifts form.
Yeah, that's a key line.
And the shift is explicitly inward,
Mm-hmm.
consciousness, not the physical body. But why? Why perceptual? What does that signify?
Well, if you look at how they use the word perceptual, isn't just like seeing better with your eyes.
Okay.
It's about getting a deeper, maybe a higher resolution sense of reality, both what's inside you and what's outside.
Like upgrading your internal sensors.
Kind of. Think of it like this. We spent centuries building this incredibly fast processor, our intellect, our logic.
Right.
But what if the input sensors, our ability to really feel and perceive what's true, what if they're still kind of low res?
I see. So all that processing speed.
It just gives you faster conclusions, but maybe based on fuzzy or incomplete data, flawed conclusions just arrived at quicker.
That's a really helpful way to put it. So we're trading the old metric, processing speed, for a new one.
Mhm.
Sensor quality, internal clarity.
You got it.
Yeah.
And that means the old markers, DNA,
Yeah.
physical tools, brain size, even they aren't the main indicators anymore.
So progress is judged differently now by these new metrics of internal awareness.
Precisely. Evolution isn't defined by physical ability or just survival advantage in the old sense. It's about achieving greater internal clarity. That's a huge redefinition of success for us as a species.
I think I get the concept, but help me and help the listener understand the practical difference. Right now, if I'm thinking faster, I solve problems quicker, right?
Yeah.
That seems useful. If I'm feeling clearer, what does that actually do for me in a meeting or when I'm making a big life choice?
Okay, good question. The source material suggests thinking faster is mostly calculation, based on the data you can measure, the stuff you can quantify.
Makes sense.
But feeling clearer, that's about accessing a more integrated intelligence. It factors in the subtle stuff, the information that your purely logical processor might just filter out because it's not easily measurable,
Like a gut feeling, but more refined.
maybe. Or perhaps it's the difference between making a decision that looks perfect on paper, mathematically sound, but just feels wrong deep down,
We've all been there.
versus a decision where the logic and that deeper feeling, that clear perception, are actually aligned. They point the same way.
Okay. That distinction is powerful. To help us grasp this, the text uses the central metaphor, the tides of consciousness. Why tides? Why water?
Well, water isn't static, is it? Unlike something solid, it's always moving, expanding, contracting.
Right. Flowing.
So the metaphor highlights that this internal development isn't linear. It's not a straight line forward. Consciousness, like the ocean, expands, it pulls back.
And the sources say it crashes against itself.
Exactly.
Right.
Which sounds chaotic, maybe even destructive.
Yeah, but the text frames it differently, right? It says in every movement, every wave, every crash, consciousness is learning what it is.
Mm-hmm. That internal turbulence, the messiness we all feel sometimes, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's part of the learning cycle itself. It normalizes it.
So all the stuff going on inside, the anger, anxiety, the fleeting moments of joy, that's just surface noise?
That's how it's described. Ripples from a deeper current. surface movements. They're real, but they aren't the whole picture.
Okay, so if our internal chaos is just ripples, what's the deep current underneath?
That, the source material says explicitly, is intuition.
Ah, okay. Intuition.
And this is where the whole definition of intelligence really starts to shift.
How do they define intuition then?
It's defined really powerfully as intelligence without translation.
Wow. Without translation.
And also knowing without needing to explain. You don't need the step-by-step breakdown.
It bypasses that whole need for articulation, for proof in the conventional sense.
Exactly. It suggests you recognize truth instantly because that internal sensor we talked about has achieved a higher resolution, just sees it clearly.
That feels radical. I mean, our whole system demands proof, explanation, data. Doesn't prioritizing knowing without explanation open the door to just irrationality? Mistaking fear or wishful thinking for genuine intuition, how does the text handle that danger?
That's a really critical point, and the source does address it. It doesn't just say trust your feelings blindly. It differentiates raw emotion from this clearer perception.
How?
The clarity of feeling that defines real intuition, in this view, is something achieved after the logical mind, the fast processor, has done its work but then integrated itself with this deeper awareness. It's a synthesis.
Okay, a synthesis.
And the most compelling phrase they use for this synthesis, intuition, in this evolved sense, is logic that learned to love.
Logic
Yeah.
that learned to love. Wow, okay, that completely changes the picture of logic. It's not just a cold calculator anymore.
Not at all. It becomes an integrated, almost compassionate tool.
So, tell me more. Why did logic need to learn to love? What was wrong with it before?
Well, the source paints this picture of our previous stage of consciousness, the one heavily focused on survival, on measurement, on control.
The one we're mostly still in, arguably.
Yes. In this old consciousness, in his drive to categorize and manage everything, it built walls around what it could measure.
Okay, walls around the quantifiable.
Exactly. So anything that couldn't easily be measured, purpose, deep connection, meaning maybe even love itself, it got left outside those walls, defined as irrelevant or secondary.
So logic became incredibly good at its job within those walls, maths, engineering, optimizing systems.
Super effective.
But at the cost of its own connection to the bigger picture, it got isolated by its own success criteria.
That's the idea. By cutting itself off from the feeling aspect, from the full current of consciousness, the source suggests logic became, well, the word used is lonely.
Lonely logic.
Yeah, lonely because it was forced to be the only judge of reality, carrying the weight of explaining everything, using only half the data set, the measurable half, like trying to describe the entire ocean by just measuring the temperature at the surface.
That's a powerful image. Lonely logic, trapped inside the walls it built. So does the new consciousness just tear down the walls?
It's more subtle than that, maybe. Tearing down walls might just lead to chaos, right?
Yeah.
Instead, it seems like it reallocates the focus. The new consciousness is about integration, so it builds bridges across what it can feel, connecting the measurables with the felt.
Bridges, not demolition.
Right, and this allows logic to kind of relax, let go of being the only guard at the gate. The goal is this beautiful synthesis where logic stops being lonely.
And starts learning to dance with wonder. I remember that phrase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It keeps its precision, its sharpness, but it gains flexibility, depth, connection.
It sounds like logic finally gets to serve something bigger, more whole.
That's the idea.
Which brings us back to evolving beyond logic. It's not about throwing logic away then.
No, definitely not. The text is clear on that. It's more like a change in management structure, perhaps.
How do you mean?
We're allowing logic to, as the source puts it, rest inside the heart that first imagined it.
Rest inside the heart.
Yeah, because it's incredibly capable, vital tool, but now it's operating within a bigger, clearer context, a context defined by that higher resolution perception and connection. Think of like a surgeon's scalpel.
Okay.
You absolutely need the precision scalpel. But its use isn't dictated only by the technical specs of the laser. It's guided by the surgeon's overall vision, their skill, their ethical clarity, their integrated knowing.
That reframes rational thought completely. It's not the lonely king anymore.
Right. It becomes a highly competent, maybe even humble servant of the fully conscious self.
And that resolves that old conflict, doesn't it? The battle between heart and mind that we hear about all the time.
It integrates them. It stops seeing intuition as some weird, spooky, irrational thing.
And starts seeing it as what?
As maybe the highest form of intelligence. The intelligence that has successfully processed both logic and emotion, synthesized them to arrive at genuine clarity.
Wow. Okay, so let's bring this home for the listener. We started with evolution shifting, moving from the physical, the measurable, thumbs, tools, faster processors, to the perceptual, the felt.
Mhm.
And the source calls this humanity returning to the ocean within. Because tides always know when to rise and fall, when to return to the source. That cycle leads to deeper self-knowledge.
It's a beautiful wrap-up of the idea, but it leaves us with a pretty profound challenge, doesn't it?
What's that?
Well, if the ultimate measure of our evolution is shifting towards this clarity feeling, not just speed of thought,
Mm-hmm.
we have to look hard at all the structures we've built based only on the old metrics. Think about it. Our education systems, our economic models, so much of our political talk, it's overwhelmingly built on what it could measure.
Quantifiable results, tangible outcomes, arguments that stand up to logical scrutiny and isolation.
Right, which kind of forces logic to stay lonely, stay walled off.
So here's the final thought to leave you with. If this new consciousness really does build bridges across what it can feel, how might those new structures start to look in our world?
Yeah, what does a decision made with logic that learned to love actually look like? In government, in
Indeed.
business, in our own lives.
That feels like the bridge we're all being invited to build now, allowing our logic to finally come home, to rest inside the heart that first imagined it.